Push and pull factors can be used to explain why populations of countries either grow or shrink because people are either leaving, which would be push factors, or that they are being drawn towards another country, that would be pull factors. But this is also a process that can be seen happening between the countryside and the city, as shown in this diagram. And it's one of the key factors for why cities across the world are growing. Now, the common push factors, which are reasons why are people leaving the countryside, is the fact that in the countryside, there's often a lack of services. What this means is often the provision of healthcare or schools is quite limited, and it's difficult to get access to schools and hospitals nearby to where you live in rural areas, which encourages people with families or people that maybe are interested in healthcare because they might be unwell to be moving to cities to access better services. In rural areas, there's also a limited opportunity of job opportunities. So in developing countries, most of the job opportunities will be agricultural, and there'll be very little other opportunities. Even in developed countries like the United Kingdom, there's a relatively small amount of job opportunities available in rural areas, which is why people also leave. People may not be happy with their life because there's a lack of things and entertainment in rural areas, things that they can do to enjoy themselves. There's not many museums or cinemas, or certainly access to these kind of cultural things is limited. And therefore, people want to leave because there's less to do. Transport links can be very poor in rural areas. Getting around and being connected is difficult, often just small country lanes or even dirt tracks. Therefore, people want to leave because they find it time consuming to get anywhere. In some rural areas, there may be natural disasters like increased flooding that encourages people to leave because it's destroyed their homes. And likewise, wars in rural areas might force them to move away from those. These two factors are more likely to be push factors that cause people to leave countries, but they might also be factors that cause them to leave one area, a rural area. A common factor in developing countries is that rural areas often have a shortage of food, and if a harvest fails, families can go hungry, which encourages them to leave. So these are all push factors. What you should do is write each one up in this table, but in a lot more detail than just the simple labels. You'll want to explain how one of these factors cause people to leave. Now, pull factors are the opposite. These are things drawing them to cities. So cities have got universities, high schools, primary schools. They've got GP surgeries and hospitals and a full range of other services that make life much easier, especially if you have families or elderly. And therefore, people are going to be attracted to cities because of this. There are a much wider range of job opportunities, all kinds of different jobs in all the different areas, whether it be working in manufacturing or in service industries. There's also a wide range of entertainment, things to do, cinemas, pubs, museums. Another key thing is getting around cities is very easy. Moving around is made easier by things like trams, underground systems, rail systems, good road networks, and bus services. So cities are well connected, and that draws people in. Living conditions are much better in urban areas. There's a lot more housing provision, and often that housing is built to a much higher standard than in the poorer rural areas. And that draws people in because they have an opportunity to have a better house, possibly connected to water and to the energy grid, especially an issue in developing countries. People move to cities often because of what's known as the bright lights of the city effect. There is a dream that the city will lead to a better life for them. Now, the reality is often that's not the case, but certainly cities offer that hope, which is often not present in the rural area. And finally, a powerful draw to the cities is family members who may have already moved, whether it was to study or for jobs. And as they start to tell stories about the better life in the city, and that feeds back to the people living in the rural area, families living in the rural areas feel encouraged to join their families living in the city. Okay, you want to develop some of these up to complete the pull factors on this table.